Welcome to the Epicenter, the flagship show for BetterThanJordan.com. All right, I'm your host, Lucrecio, and I'm here to talk to you with a little bit of basketball. I know the season's over. It's not officially over into the NBA draft, but the basketball part is over, and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the alleged movements or the alleged trades that are rumored, and also looks like Cleveland hired a brand new coach, so we'll dive into that a little bit. All right, starting off with the Golden State Warriors. So the news in the East Bay, as well as Minnesota, is that Mr. Klay Thompson is now fair game for the trade. So originally, I believe the Warriors offered a package of David Lee and Harrison Barnes as the key pieces to acquire Kevin Love from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, obviously, that was rejected because they didn't feel like that was an even trade. I'm assuming, and that any trade involving Kevin Love would have to include Klay Thompson. Um, so, as of today, Mark Spears and the famous Chris Broussard are reporting that the deal is actually fairly close to being done. Part of the reason for that is because Klay Thompson is rumored to be asking for a max extension for Klay Thompson, which is weird to me, but whatever. And he's unlikely to get it from Golden State. But on the flip side, he is very likely to get it from Minnesota if they were to complete the trade. So that is one of the main reasons why this trade has a very good chance of going through. Apparently, um, the entire trade, which is boggling to my mind, but the entire trade would essentially be Kevin Love, um, Kevin Martin, JJ Barea, and the 13th pick for Klay Thompson and David Lee. That's the exact proposal that Chris Broussard is reporting has been thrown around and is being deliberated. Um, to me, that honestly, that's utterly ridiculous. If you want to be very honest, that is probably one of the most terrible one-sided trades I've seen in a long time. And the reason why, um, even though I believe Kevin Love is a tad bit overrated, I do think he is a top five power forward in the NBA. Okay, if you ask me, I don't think he's better than Aldridge. I think him and Blake Griffin, you can go back and forth. I don't even really think he's better than Chris Bosh in his pure state. Now, granted, Chris Bosh looks like a role player now because as a third wheel on a team with incredibly talented players. But remember Chris Bosh as a solo star on a bad team, a team that actually made the playoffs a couple times when he was in Toronto, was a very good player. Had an incredibly high basketball IQ, would outsmart his defenders, would dominate in depending on how you look at it. Kevin Love can dominate and put up crazy numbers, but even though it's the Western Conference, but still, you got to make the playoffs seriously. So, but Kevin Love is a very good player. He's by far the best player in this proposed situation. So I don't understand. I understand Kevin Martin is probably a salary dump, I'm assuming. Same thing with JJ Barea. But I don't understand why you would be giving up your 13th pick in this draft. This trade just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Chris Broussard is reporting this as the current deal that's on the table, which is absolutely insane. I think Kevin Love going to the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry would be interesting. I don't love it, but I'd be interested to see what happens in that situation. I would definitely tune in. I like Klay Thompson as a player. To be honest, I think he's a very good defender. I think he's a two guard. He is probably the most prototypical two guard left in the NBA. And what I mean by that is all the things that you really want your two guard to be, assuming that he's not a star player. Klay Thompson done. He is a very, very good defender. He has a little bit of a mid-range game, a little bit of a post game for smaller defenders, and he can shoot lights out from three. Uh, if you put him next to like a very dominant player, he's almost the perfect type of complementary player. So I do see why there's a high value for him, but not for Minnesota. I don't understand exactly what Minnesota would be. What would the purpose of Minnesota getting a player like that for? They don't have. If they trade Kevin Love, they don't have the star for him to play off of. So to me, it's ridiculous. And David Lee just isn't that guy. He had some years. So let's be honest. He doesn't play any defense. He's a stat patter. He'll get you a lot of rebounds. He'll get you 18, 20 points or whatever. But seriously, he plays no defense. So to me, that makes him an incomplete player. Okay, so moving on from that, the Cavaliers have apparently hired a head coach, David Blatt, I believe that's his name. World-renowned European League coach. I don't know too much about him personally. I've seen him. I've seen the team, but the name sounds familiar, but I haven't. I don't know a whole lot about him. Um, I'm assuming he's basically another Mike D'Antoni type player. Uh, Steve Kerr was trying to get him for the assistant job, and that makes sense. I can understand why you would hire him as an assistant. Get a European coach in there to help you coach your offense and run some, schemes or whatever, and help develop an offense, right? But I don't understand why the Cavaliers took him. To me, this basically says that the Cavaliers are taking a step away from the whole LeBron come back to Cleveland era, which is maybe a little bit premature because I feel like you could wait, see what he does. Mark Jackson's out there. There are rumors, and they may not want to consider rumors because when you're dealing with LeBron, you deal with a lot of rumors. They may just be taking a step back from there and saying, you know what, we don't want any part of the whole decision thing. We're gonna go ahead and move aside. We're gonna hire the coach we want. We have Kyrie. We have a bunch of young guns. We're just going to go in our own direction. And if that's the case, I respect that. I just don't think that's the best choice. I think you want to give him a chance in case he decides to come back and not hire a coach. I mean, assuming that him and Mark Jackson have a good relationship and he would want to play for Mark Jackson, supposedly. You have a situation with Carmelo out there where he's very much willing to follow LeBron. LeBron comes to Cleveland, there's a chance Carmelo comes to Cleveland right after him. You have the number one pick. In that situation, if you were going to go for Embiid, you would have an issue where you have Embiid, Carmelo, LeBron. You would have to get a two in there and Kyrie Irving. That would be interesting, along with a bunch of young talent like Tristan Thompson, Anthony Bennett, who I think is actually going to start to become a player in this league, and you just have a bunch of young talent. I feel like you got to let that play out because of what it could mean. It could mean it could mean championships, but it looks like they took a step in a different direction. And speaking of Joel Embiid, the Kansas Star, apparently he has a stress fracture in his foot all of a sudden. So I don't quite understand excuse me, what happened with that. I know he wasn't running any scrimmages because we're coming up on the draft. So I don't know if he was just working out, if he was doing a drop step or whatever, or if it was just like a physical and they found a stress fracture or whatever. But that's a tough one. So if it's me, I can't honestly say that I would still draft him. The reason why, even though I think Embiid has potential to be awesome, and I think when I say awesome, I'm not talking about just another 7-footer who could block a couple shots and do a couple things. I'm talking about a 7-footer with footwork who can shoot, who can do all these different things. So, well, not shoot from range, but who could develop into a really, really, really awesome center. Um, I think when you have that, it's tough not to draft them. But with the history of big men in this league, especially when you have a Wiggins on the table, you might just have to go for Andrew Wiggins when he could easily be a generational player in the future. So, tough news because I really thought the Cavs was going to go ahead and get Embiid because I thought Embiid would be a very good player for them. But um, it looks like they might go with Wiggins or Parker, and that would probably be the right move. So um, another column is going to be posted on the website in a couple days, highlighting Kawhi Leonard. Check it out. Follow BetterThanJordan.com. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to the page. This is the Epicenter episode 1. It's going to be a lot more coming. There may be a name change in the future depending on how some of the ideas for branding goes. So stay tuned. But like the video, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. All right.